Well, in a kind of weird twist of fate, in a sense that I don't think anyone really expected this to be on the news, or, in the news headlines this week, it was announced that Sony and Microsoft will be partnering up with regards to establishing streaming services. And of course, everyone's jumping on the speculation bandwagon saying that this means that the next PlayStation will be mixed, that PlayStation and Xbox are playing along, and they're not going to be competition anymore, or things like that. And obviously, these kinds of early speculation pop up with every kind of news thing. Now, I'm not going to claim to have inside sources, but I do think that's a little premature. I made actually some pretty bold predictions late last year, actually. Actually, it was E3 of last year, so almost an entire year ago, regarding the future of Xbox. And I know I've mentioned this a few times on my buddy BBK Dragoon's channel. I don't know how much I've actually mentioned it on my own channel, but given Xbox's announcements of a discless game console, a streaming-based game console, the Raven or whatever, that's purely based on streaming, I see the future of Xbox going a little differently, but in a really smart direction if they do this. In that, we have the Xbox One X, which is now their flagship, get the best graphics, get the best gaming, whatever, console. Then they released the discless console, which was kind of more sillily aimed, given that they literally just pulled out the disk drive and left all the hardware in there and stuff like that and didn't make it cheaper or smaller or whatever. But then I think that the next Xbox that they're going to formally announce and release will still be the streaming Xbox, or at least it will be paired with it. And I think that is, like, the discless one was kind of the precursor to that, and then we're going to move forward and we're going to end up with the next big Xbox being the streaming one. I actually had a really cool idea that I think they might go with the actual release of Xbox, in that the next generation Xbox hardware that you're supposed to game on for actual non-streaming gaming, for just downloads and, 4K gaming, 8K gaming, whatever the next trend is going to be. The Xbox One X2, for example, or the Xbox 2X, or whatever. I think that is still going to exist. There's still going to be a sequel to the Xbox One X that is going to be focused on providing the best bang for the buck, and it will, or not the best bang for the buck, the best graphics you can get, and the best horsepower and things like that. It's going to represent the next generation of games. And so there will be an entire generation of games that potentially are, developed and designed to run on this newer Xbox. But instead of leaving all the previous Xboxes in the dust, since Microsoft and Phil Spencer have made very deliberate and broad sweeping claims about how Xbox is now a family of hardware and software, and it's all about the Xbox software these days with Play Anywhere and the streaming and having so many different Xbox Ones. I don't think they're just going to abandon the Xbox One line. I think it's going to transition to that games are going to be backwards compatible. So the next big Xbox is going to be able to run all of this generation's Xbox games and all of the emulated stuff, because why would they keep, even this late into the generation, as we're literally on the heels of the next Xbox, why would they keep developing so much in the backwards compatibility and emulation standpoint if that's not going to carry forward? So I think the next generation of actual hardware is going to very much focus on backwards compatibility and play all the older games. But the newer games either aren't going to run very well on the older hardware, and that'll just continue to taper off as the original base Xbox One is pretty much useless. It's not useless, but it's a very sore option compared to the S and the X. And I think eventually there will be a cutoff where games won't run on that anymore natively. But I think they will allow you to basically turn all your previous old Xboxes into streaming Xboxes and continue to be able to stream the next generation's games from their streaming service and still play them. That way you're still on the same family of hardware. You don't have to go buy a new Xbox if you don't want to. You just don't get to play them natively or locally. You have to play them through streaming services. And for a lot of people, that's going to be fine. I know there's still a lot of apprehension, especially from hardcore gamers or esports-y gamers, about latency and things like that, and obviously that's a concern, but I think that's getting better and better over time, and some of the reviews of like GeForce Now and things like that have been very positive in terms of latency. I really think that's going to be where they move, and so we're not going to see like the PlayStation games on the Xbox and the Xbox games on PlayStation. We're not going to be playing Master Chief on PlayStation 5, but I do think that this means that because of all of the articles have specific quotes from the Microsoft Sony discussion saying that basically still describing Xbox and PlayStation as competitors, but stating that Sony needs to pair with Microsoft in order to use the Azure cloud services and streaming if they want to compete. So both companies Microsoft and Sony and Xbox and PlayStation are both moving forward trying to compete with Amazon and Google with their streaming services, and they need to use Microsoft's Azure cloud streaming services in order to do that. So you won't necessarily, I don't think you'll see, you know, cross compatibility with the original exclusives or anything like that, but you will maybe see that the Xbox backend streaming service is what's powering the PlayStation streaming box or something like that. Or maybe they won't mention it at all and it'll just be PlayStation streaming box powered by Azure, and that's totally fine. I don't think we're going to see anything too radical here at the moment, but it is interesting to see them playing ball so strongly, and they mentioned partnerships involving developing more semiconductors and the, you know, other products. I find that really interesting, as that to me falls in line with the continuation of Xbox's brand shifting more towards software focused and, you know, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but like family of devices, ecosystem focused, instead of just buy our Xbox right here, right now, buy the Xbox, buy it. And so it's cool to see them playing ball, and hopefully that means crossplay will be like a thing of the past in terms of like stressing out about it, because that's been a big thing towards the latter half of this generation, as a lot of butting heads regarding crossplay. And I would like to think that if they're all using Microsoft's Azure cloud services, then there's not going to be much excuse for crossplay on, you know, cross-platform titles. So we'll see how that turns out. I just wanted to provide some discussion. Let me know what you think about the news in the description down below, if you think anything big will come from it, or like I said, if it's just Sony using Azure services for their cloud streaming potential PlayStation. And when do you think we'll see that announcement? Because clearly, if they're doing that, that means a streaming PlayStation is coming soon as well. And honestly, overall, this whole big shift in their Microsoft's, you know, switch to wanting to play ball, a lot of people have said that this comes from a place of, you know, they don't have exclusives and they're basically desperate for people to play, so they want to seem like the nice guy. And even if that's true, which I don't necessarily know that I believe it is, that's literally how competition works. Competition breeds innovation. This is competition forcing both companies' hands to do different things. And this shows why I'm loving Microsoft and Xbox so much this generation, between so much work going into the backwards compatibility emulation stuff, like I mentioned. I released a whole video about that and why it's great. The fact that they've really hunkered down on the Play Anywhere promise and the ecosystem. You can play your games anywhere, you can stream them. We're getting the MCC Insider flights soon. I'm super stoked for that. Like, there's so much going on that adding this to the pot of the things Microsoft is doing to basically be the good guys here and to really kind of seemingly focus on what's best for gamers and not just for selling Xboxes. This is really representative of why I really love the direction and the place that Microsoft and Xbox is in this generation. So hopefully this continues on. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'm EposVox, and thanks for watching. I don't know how to end these videos. Buy more thumbtacks. You need more thumbtacks in your life. Buy them.